Large hail expected on Thursday in a slight risk across Texas. And the slight risk continues into Friday as well, further east. Welcome to this Weather Beat special once again for more United States severe weather, and I did say Texas, but it also extends further north tomorrow through into Oklahoma and into some parts of Kansas. My name is Nathan Foy with the latest information on this upcoming weather event. 2 days of slight risk is currently on the cards, and maybe a third one further on down the line as well. And we've had a few areas of marginal risk today as well across large parts of the southern United States. Joining me as always is Ethan, who is with me right now, and here we both are talking about yet another weather event, but like the one last week that we were watching, it ended up turning out enhanced. It is still only, at best, a mid-tier event on this somewhat muted start to severe weather season, Ethan.
Yes, this event that we're looking at really in the morning hours of tomorrow. This is going to be Thursday. You know, you're thinking maybe 6 a.m. local, maybe a little bit earlier than that for storms when they end up developing through the lunchtime hours into the early afternoon. That's what we're really going to be looking at. And I don't know if you have my screen up, Nathan, but right now what we have for our slight risk area is a rather large slight risk area extending down as far south as looks like to be Junction, Texas, along Interstate 10. This is in southwestern Texas, all the way up into Kansas. Wichita is just barely in it. So the main threat with these storms, I'll show the models here in just a second for this for tomorrow morning. But the main threat that we're going to be observing with these storms is going to be heavy rainfall and large hail. That's going to be the primary threats. That's not to say that some isolated wind gusts could reach up towards 60, 65 miles per hour. That's probably going to happen with a lot of these storms, to be honest, as well as that large hail threat. And we cannot rule out an isolated tornado or two. The tornado risk tomorrow isn't particularly large, although an isolated tornado or two cannot be ruled out in these areas here that the SPC has outlined, mainly in western Oklahoma and western Texas, Nathan.
Yeah, and that's a 2% gradient there, so they're not too concerned about that. But why don't you show us the hail parameter? That's the highest one, 15%.
Yep, there's that. And I don't think they've significant. Nope, no hatch on the wind and no hatch on the tornado. So there's no hatch risk at all. And I imagine wind is wind's actually a lesser threat. That's a bit shocking. So right now, the only thing. Basically, how the SPC runs, I'll explain this here before I explain what I just said, is the SPC runs basically, they issue percentage based on that risk. So they've gone, let's say for this event, they've gone and issued a 2% tornado risk, a 5% wind risk, and a 15% hail risk. Based on those levels, the tornado risk at 2% and the wind risk at 5%, those are only at marginal risk equivalent levels. So the only thing really making this a slight risk day tomorrow morning is the health threat. So that's a bit shocking. I would have expected that the SPC would have had a slight risk equivalent for wind, but they don't at this time.
So thinking about timing, you said morning. It will certainly develop in the morning, but from what I saw, it might extend into the early afternoon as well.
Yes, that's probably going to happen. So this is the 18Z HRRR. We are due to have the 0Z run, or the 6 p.m. local, 7 p.m. Eastern time run in a few hours. But this is what we're seeing for the 18Z run. So you can see here, this is getting towards 9Z. So just doing my time conversions.
3 a.m.
It's all central. Yeah, so this is 3 a.m. down here. We're starting to see some storms fire. And then we get towards here's 6 a.m. You start to have some stronger cells up in Oklahoma, maybe a strong cell. This is just a one model representation. So don't take these storm locations and storm intensities with exact accuracy. Just a rough idea of what's going to come. And those storms do continue to develop, and they don't particularly get very strong, it looks to be, on this model run. And you can see there we have a little isolated event up there in the afternoon hours. That cannot be ruled out up there as well. So maybe two risks it looks like, two modes, I guess you should say, that should happen or could happen tomorrow morning.
And now that
The
slightly odd slight risk shape makes sense now that you've shown that.
Yes, it's over a very broad area. There is still some uncertainty on where these storms actually develop and where they actually go. Some locations in the slight risk storms will get nothing at all, and some locations will get a severe thunderstorm. It's just extremely, extremely difficult for us to forecast and say, hey, location A is going to get a severe thunderstorm at this time. That's just not possible. And we're just basically, the SPC has issued this rather large slight risk area because conditions are favorable for severe thunderstorms over this area. That doesn't mean that severe thunderstorms are going to occur in every single inch of the slight risk area. It just means that, well, again, conditions are favorable for severe weather in that general area.
Yeah.
So going back to the NEM 3 kilometer, I'll touch on this one real quick for the morning hours. It does have this event being much more severe, I guess you should say.
Discreet.
There you can see that large hail threat, maybe some damaging wind as well. You can see it does look to be pretty linear for maybe a few hours. This is we'll just say, what are this frame? So this is 10 a.m. and you can see here some storms producing some large hail, maybe some damaging wind gusts, but overall storms are not forecast to get particularly strong tomorrow. This isn't going to be an enhanced risk-like event. There is still some questions that have to be answered regarding intensity and track of these storms, and those will be answered with due time.
All right. Should we move on to Friday?
Sure, we can do that. We have a slight risk out for that day as well. A rather large area, again, extending from the Interstate 35 corridor in Texas up towards Fort Smith in Arkansas, down including Shreveport, Louisiana. New Orleans is also in it. Jackson, Mississippi is in it as well. Mobile. And looks like that, I think Tallahassee is also in that as well. Yes.
Wow.
So this is going to be a slight risk at the moment.
Pensacola.
Yeah. Nope. I'm getting my cities mixed up. I apologize.
Tallahassee's just outside there, but yeah.
Yeah, there's Tallahassee. But we don't exactly have exact probabilities at the moment. I'll drop these warnings at the time of recording. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in Texas. I'll drop the warning boxes there. So this is a rather large slight risk, again, for a general area of where severe thunderstorms are favorable for development and producing severe hazards. We don't exactly have any exact probabilities yet, but we will have some come this morning, or that's coming a cycle of this outlook tomorrow morning. I think that's in about, just doing my math here, that's in about, because it's 1 a.m. here, so that's in 6 hours from now.
Yeah.
No, it's 7 hours from now as of recording, because right now it's 6 p.m. here local. So whenever that outlook comes out, we'll have a better idea of what hazards the Storm Prediction Center is forecasting. But we can go out to the model runs here real quick, and this will be for Thursday's event. And once again, you'll see the common trend again, Nathan, here. An overnight threat again for these areas. Some question from me, at least. This is, I haven't even gotten up to the event again. Never mind. I'll have to switch sectors here to go to a sector further off towards the east. So here's Friday. Here we're arriving in Friday. This is midday Friday here. Some shadowed showers and thunderstorms over portions of the deep South Plains in Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. And these will continue to push off further towards the east. And as we get into the afternoon hours, here comes your severe weather line. There it is. Looks to be maybe some isolated showers producing some severe weather across Mississippi in the early morning hours of Saturday. So overall, this event for Friday, it seems to be, so far, it appears to be pretty limited. And some uncertainty remains on exactly how strong and what coverage of storms we're going to see. So this event is
Looks like there must be a lot of uncertainty in that at the moment. Oh, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on there, but still not a whole lot of activity going on here, Nathan. There's that.
Yeah, that of course is just one model, and we don't have very many mesoscale models that go out that far yet.
No, so we'll have a much better idea on what's severe weather Friday potential, and even Saturday. We'll get to Saturday here in just a second, but we'll have a much better idea of what kind of potential we could be seeing on Friday night and Saturday. For Friday in particular, it's probably going to be the model run suite that comes out tomorrow morning. and then we'll have
Yeah.
a better idea. We would process through information and basically make a somewhat educated guess forecast tomorrow afternoon, and then we can just rinse and repeat for Saturday. We'll just push that all forward another day.
All right. Show us what you got for Saturday then.
So the Storm Prediction Center right now has a slight risk equivalent outlined. So basically what the Storm Prediction Center does for areas that are day 4 in advance so throughout to day 8. So that's so how the Storm Prediction Center runs when it comes to the my apologies.
Careful now.
My throat there. Basically by day numbers is today is day 1, tomorrow is day 2, and day 3, day 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is day 4 for Saturday, and you can see they have a slight risk equivalent or a 15% risk area for northern Florida, southeastern Alabama, and a large part of central and southern Georgia. You have Jacksonville in it, Tallahassee's in it. Got that right that time. Savannah is just teetering in it, I guess you could say. You have the actual metro itself in it, but locations just over the, I believe there's a river there. I don't know what the river's called. My apologies on that. Into South Carolina are just barely within it. Macon, Georgia are the same as well, just barely in it as well. Within Alabama as well. So I can look at the regular NAM run here. I'll pull up the NAM. Where is it? There it is.
Okay.
For Saturday's event. It's not going to give us a general idea of what's going to happen. We'll have a much better idea when the mesothelial models come into line. So this is for Saturday here, and looks to be a pretty decent day for severe weather here, has to be said.
Oh, man.
And you'll notice here that it's basically along a front, basically.
Yeah.
You're not looking at isolated supercells that could be popping up. So this is looking to be mainly probably a damaging wind threat.
And this is all the same thing that's causing the event in Texas tomorrow. It's dragging itself along the U.S. over 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, this is pretty common for this time of year, especially in March and into April. You'll see these massive systems. I'll go to the GFS here, and I'll go back to like a more national picture here, Nathan. I'll explain this here, and you can see here we'll have this system develop, and I'll go to this because it'll actually show the low pressure area. There you can see that low pressure system developing, and oftentimes what you have during these months is you have this big front that sags back towards the southeast U.S. and down towards Texas. And it takes a few days for this front to progress from Texas through Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi, the southeast states, Florida. It takes a few days. And as that front progresses off towards the east, it brings severe weather, heavy rainfall, tornadoes, and occasionally on the northern side of it, it can also bring a winter storm. We're not going to be seeing a huge snowfall threat on the northern side of this, thankfully. Nothing like what California's been getting recently.
If we stay on this frame, this is Friday, and looks like GFS is doing that, ramping it up more than the NAM did.
Yeah, the GFS is much lower resolution compared to the NAM was. For example, explaining this for a normal person here, the NAM 3-kilometer run basically runs at a, I don't know what the resolution is. I think it's 3 kilometers. So basically, it takes a 3 kilometer by 3 kilometer square, and it can go down and basically look at the atmosphere within that 3 kilometer region and basically give various parameters based on that region. But the GFS is a much larger box. I don't actually know what the measurement is, but it could be
0.25 degrees.
Yeah, it is much larger square than the NAM 3-kilometer is. Sorry,
but Ethan, what I'm saying is, if the GFS is poor resolution, it's still showing up big radar signatures, which would signal that the GFS, if anything, is underdoing it in their view.
Yes, in the GFS mind, the NAM is underdoing it. But this is why we have multiple model runs. It's just one scenario that we're seeing here just on the GFS. And we can have multiple other models basically say and look at the atmosphere and say, hey, we're looking at this a little bit differently. And it's very important that that users don't look at one model run and say, this is what's going to happen. And people do this a lot for systems that are 2-3 days in advance, and it catches a lot of people off guard. And
people pick and mix to serve their agenda. If they want a big storm event at their place, they'll find a model that agrees with it. But keep going on that model run there.
For the GFS here, there's that front progressing off towards the east. Very heavy rain has to be said on the northern side of Saturday's severe weather event. I'll pull up rain totals here in just a second, but there's that front progressing off towards the east. And thankfully, no severe weather threat on Sunday, but you can see the system absolutely bombing out over the northeast here, Nathan. Not going to be a nor'easter by any stretch of the means, but it's going to be a pretty potential wind producer, I imagine, over these areas. 978 millibars into next week.
Wow. And I tell you one thing, and I can't quite believe this, but my bottom bar has been wrong the whole time. Oh, that's the wrong button. So basically, well, the bottom bar just there to supplement all the other stuff. That was the last bottom bar, but basically it's just saying that the temperatures across the US tonight are pretty mild, actually, and that this severe weather event is mainly about hail. I apologise for that. That should have been the right bar, but it was the wrong one. We're not going to do a retake. We've been at it for 16 minutes. So anyway, after that, Ethan, it flees the scene, does it?
Yep, and afterwards, I believe a lower cold spell, and not going to be like below freezing any stretch of the imagination, but a much more average temperature spell is going to move in quickly after this system. You can see here that temperatures for the start of next week are about average here across most of the eastern part of the U.S. Central Plains, of course, is still well above average, of course. And as we go into the middle part of next week, those temperatures will go absolutely warm, and maybe we'll get back up towards a much warmer atmosphere here. You can see here just into the later part of next week. I'll go to this frame. This is more than a week out, so things could change. But you can see here, look at that. Temperatures are almost reaching 70 here across central Indiana. 70s again across a large part of the Gulf Coast, and you know what that means this time of the season. More severe weather potential as well.
Well, please send some of that here, Ethan. I'm bored of the cold. It's still winter here.
I would happily send it some of you because some of it up to you because we've actually already hit the high 70s so far this year already.
It's madness.
So.
Well, we haven't. Our maximum temperature has so far been 54. But there we go. And I can't get rid of that bar. All right. Shall we go on to some of the regional views right now, what the National Weather Service officers are saying?
Sure.
Well, this is Austin, San Antonio, and they're acknowledging the severe thunderstorms possible. Early Friday, they're saying. Level 2 of 5 risk across the Northern Hill Country. That's slight risk. And the timing 2 a.m. till 11 a.m. Friday. Large hail, damaging winds, lightning. They've put a box around the large hail. So they're talking about all of that. Fort Worth, storm chances this evening through Thursday. Storm chances return with several rounds of showers and storms expected through Thursday, and some storms will become strong to severe. Pretty basic map there. Here's the severe weather potential looking at Lake Charles. This is talking more about Friday, and you can see there once again level 2 of 5 impacts. Most of those are entering the medium category, even for tornadoes, they're saying on that. And beginning Friday afternoon, continuing into Friday night. Greater potential will be north of Beaumont to Morgan City. And this is Shreveport, Louisiana, which would be very near the center of Friday's risk. And that's the view there. They're saying severe thunderstorms possible with hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. And obviously safety instructions. Severe thunderstorm threat Thursday from Tulsa, Oklahoma. They're saying only, I think they're in the marginal there, is that?
Barely.
So that's that region. Further west, Norman, Oklahoma, showing the situation out west. Western Oklahoma getting a lot of that slight risk tomorrow. Tornado potential very low. Maximum hail size up to golf ball and maximum wind speed up to 60 miles per hour, they reckon. And further north, tornadoes can't be ruled out. Amarillo, Texas, this is actually west. Ping pong size hail possible. Maximum wind 60. And looking towards Little Rock. And you can see there that they're just on the edge of the slight for Friday. Moving on to other weather stories around the US tonight. Another round of moderate to heavy rainfall from National Weather Service New York. And a couple of coastal low pressure systems bringing moderate to heavy rain this afternoon into tonight. And a lot of information on there that I won't go through, but locally 3.5 inches of rain possible in parts of Long Island and southern Connecticut. Wildfires possible with a red flag warning that will be continuing for eastern New Mexico into tomorrow in some areas, and other parts of the plains that are expiring this evening. So make sure you follow the wildfire safety instructions, and a lot of it, Ethan, is common sense.
Yes, it's a bit early to have wildfire talk out here across the plains, but it is indeed the topic right now in 2024. I wish I could bring it up on my map, but I imagine you have it on your end, Nathan. But there is I'll pull up my other monitor.
I probably don't. You may as well show us what you got.
Oh, okay. So here is the national picture of what we're seeing right now. I'll open this image in a new tab. Let's see. There we go. So this is what we're seeing right now with the national picture around the U.S. right now. All of these pink boxes are going to be your red flag warning areas. So a bit interesting to see it across eastern portions of South Dakota, even getting close to Minneapolis here. Pretty interesting to see it that far north. But it's a bit early to talk about this kind of stuff this far north and south even. But that is the weather situation in 2024 with much above average temperatures across portions of the U.S. And if we go back over here to the Climate Prediction Center, Nathan, look at that. An absolutely torch across a large part of the U.S. throughout the next 6 to 10 days that the Climate Prediction Center is outlining. And I believe that continues into the portions of next week, yes, as well.
Well, if you like the warm, then that's excellent news. And finally, rain, mountain snow, and chance of thunderstorms. It's all happening this evening in Los Angeles and Southern California. This is the LA office right now. Likely rainfall amount up to 1 inch on the mountains and foothills. 15 to 30% chance of thunderstorms with brief, heavy snow showers, gusty winds, and small hail. And Ethan's showing us that right now as well.
Yeah, we're mainly going to be seeing this threat. Looks like that it's going to be for tonight, mainly along the coastal areas. But the main story recently in California, Nathan, has been the absolutely massive snow event that they've been having in these mountains up here. I believe we've been seeing snow totals of, get this, Nathan, upwards of 10 feet in some areas. Wow. And that might be a little bit low. So the snow totals up here have been absolutely ridiculous recently, which is not unlike it. These kind of mountains, they get a lot of snow, but not this much.
That's amazing stuff. Wow, Ethan, we've been here for quite a long time. We're going to break it off now. But this slight risk, in effect, begins tomorrow, Thursday morning, and will continue probably well into the weekend. But we'll now leave you with the live look, at least from our recording time, of the US picture, with quite a lot of rainfall in the northeast and in the southwest.